July 13th, 2016. Guys, one of the things we've talked about on this channel for quite a few months now is to, if you've never gotten out and voted, to do it now, do it this election, because of the fact that an overwhelming groundswell of voters leaning one way makes it almost impossible for mainstream and other players to cheat you out of your vote, even the delegates. And I know there's some traitors that are delegates that have been bought off, especially on one side. But guys, with some of the people that we see on the Republican Party, we really can't trust how the Republican delegates will handle this. But a key factor, I've said it, and the headlines now are proving me right, and that's why I insist that if you care at all about your life, your children's life, your grandchildren's life, get out and vote, because we know what the Democratic side looks like. We've seen it with the FBI reports. The entire world watched the C-SPAN thing, guys. It was one of their biggest events ever. But all over the world, reports are coming in about the fact that the Department of Justice, Loretta Lynch, let Hillary Clinton off. A lot of people say it wasn't her, it was the FBI director. He didn't do it. He gave us the ammunition that was needed in order for Congress to move forward on this. Now they have ordered a investigation by the FBI for perjury against Hillary Clinton. And if you notice the C-SPAN videos from yesterday when they were interviewing the Attorney General, she was sworn in also. There's a reason for that. But this groundswell, guys, since that event where the FBI director was first interviewed again by the Senate committee there, where he basically gave every piece of evidence you needed to convict. Well, that has changed the entire attitude of this nation. Then you had a second blow, as the headlines today, and we started talking about it yesterday, was that Bernie Sanders was now going to back Hillary Clinton. And I knew that would be a backlash, and thank goodness for it, because we talked about a lot of Sanders voters had said that if he didn't make the nomination, they could not vote for Hillary and would go to the Republican side. And we're seeing that, and we're seeing it even more than they anticipated, because they thought that Bernie would just bow out, kind of get out of it, do like some of the Republicans are doing Trump, not really behind him. And by the way, people like Mitt Romney, guys, that are saying we're not going to participate in the Republican convention in Cleveland. And Trump thinks just like I would think about this. We really don't want the losers from past conventions showing up here anyway. We're trying to get a handle on the situation, and please, thank you for not showing up. Thanks. That's what I would say. I appreciate it. You were an embarrassment. But now, since again the FBI came out with their information, the Attorney General declined to prosecute Hillary, it's turned everyone against them. We're starting to see now the mainstream polls, the real ones, are putting Trump back in the lead, guys. That's amazing, because I didn't expect it. I kind of thought that they would hide as much information as they could right up until the convention that's coming up Monday. Again, they start blocking roads this Saturday. A lot of people are going to be there armed, because Cleveland is an open carry city. They're saying not only are you going to have maybe 30,000 bikers for Trump there, they're talking about Black Panthers carrying rifles, things like that. So it's almost like they want this to go down in chaos. Guys, there's the legislative orders or executive orders signed by the president just since July 1st. It really talks about civilian casualties in the national defense, things like that. It's kind of eye-opening. but it was not talked about on mainstream. It's just an executive order, and I'll link to that. You can look at it and see what you think. But it's almost like they're going to allow the chaos to disrupt things. Now, I'm sure it will look like a Rose Bowl parade at the Democratic National Convention unless they try to stop the Republican convention. And then what will happen, and maybe this is part of the plan to bring in martial law, they know that Trump now has probably an 80-85% margin as far as the percentage of voters if they were to tell the truth. We've done polls on our YouTube channel for the last 6 months. It will be 300 to 1. Things like that. And a lot of those guys, we know some of those polls, all of the thumbs up are not coming in. All the comments are not being shown there. All of the thumbs up on the videos are not there. But either way, the groundswell is within 24 hours of one of these polls, it'll be 300 people for Trump, 1 for Hillary. Back when Trump had 14 or 15 people in there in the race against him on the Republican side, it would be 300 for Trump. And then you'd have Cruz and Rubio. Hillary was always at the bottom, even with John Kasich and Jeb Bush. So we knew it was rigged from Jump Street. But let's just look at some of these polls. And they're calling it an election turnaround, and Trump takes the lead in key battleground states. Love it. GOP nominee surges past Clinton following racially motivated shootings in Texas. FBI's decision not to indict Clinton over the email server. And again, Bernie just bowing down to everything he hated about Hillary. The only thing that was saving the Democratic Party was Bernie Sanders. And I say that not because of the Democratic political party, but because of the Democratic voters. They were trying to hang on to something on that side after what we've seen in the last 8 years, to be honest with you. But now Bernie has betrayed all of that money that his supporters put in because of what he stood for. Now he's going in with Clinton on the Pacific Trade Agreement, everything, guys. And they're very upset. Again, the world is watching. But it says, after a month of polling behind his likely Democratic opponent, let me stop here. That was a lie from day one. He was never behind. Republican nominee Donald Trump has surged past former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton in a series of recent battleground state polls. These are important states. Boosted by terror fears and renewed concerns over the controversial Black Lives Matter movement following the murder of 5 police officers by black gunmen, Trump now leads Clinton in 4 key battleground states. I want to call BS on that paragraph, guys, because I don't think that had anything to do with it. I think it had nothing to do with it, as a matter of fact. It had everything to do with the FBI report and Loretta Lynch not taking Hillary Clinton to trial and putting her in prison instead of letting the worst security leak known in the history of the United States become president. Think about that. But so I think it had nothing to do with the shooting in Dallas or the other shootings. Not that they weren't important, not that they weren't not mainstream news, but that's just one of the slants they're trying to bring about. And many have said that Trump was responsible for that because of his rhetoric. That's the furthest thing from the truth you've ever heard. But now the Monmouth poll, it was released yesterday evening. It says that he leads Clinton by 2 points, 44 to 42 in Iowa. And that's nowhere near close. But what the key thing is here now is public perception. We talked about the 40-40-20 rule, 40 for one side, 40 for the other, 20 on the fence waiting for the day of the elect to vote so they can see what the polls are saying, so they will be on the winning bandwagon regardless of what they really believe. And most of those 20% are watching soap operas. They have no clue what's going on. Now here the article goes back and tries to get back in the right direction. It says, aside from the anxieties over terrorism and what many voters perceive as a worsening racial divide, and guys, that there's problems, but there's not a racial divide here. That's what they want to do, divide and conquer. It's from the the Albert Pike letter from the 1870s on how this end times would come down, and we're seeing it played out perfectly. But it says Trump appears to have benefited from the recent decision not to prosecute Clinton over her use of private email server to handle classified government documents. They didn't mention the perjury charges that are coming up. But also the ABC Washington Post poll, which I can't believe they would even admit it. They are so pro-Hillary. It says 35% of Americans approve of the FBI's decision, only 35%, not to recommend Clinton be indicted. Some 56% disapproved, and 57% said her behavior made them concerned about how she would act as president if elected. So after that, the worst thing that could happen to her campaign was to bring Bernie Sanders in and make him bow down and worship her in public. There was such an outrage on the Democratic voters that had backed Sanders. They're going to, even if they don't like Trump, they're going to go Republican. Not only because they don't like Clinton's policies, but to pay Bernie back. In other critical swing states, Trump has also taken the lead. In the all-important state of Florida, where Trump must win if he hopes to defeat Clinton in November, 2 separate polls gave Trump a 5-point lead. The Quinnipiac poll published Wednesday showed Trump leading Clinton 41-36, while a JMC analysis poll published on Monday had the GOP candidate beating Clinton 47-42. But guys, where are they getting the Democratic numbers? Because nobody else is seeing those, but at least because of the groundswell and the outpouring of concern, they can't hide it anymore. And so now that 20% that's watching soap operas will have a different way to lean. But Trump's largest lead came in Pennsylvania with 20 electoral votes. Pennsylvania has long been a battleground state despite eluding Republicans over the past 25 years, with Democrats winning the state in every presidential election since 1992. The last Quinnipiac poll shows Trump leading Clinton by 6 points, 40-34, a massive swing from the agency's last poll, which had Clinton leading by 3 points. The groundswell effect. And in Ohio, the perennial bellwether state, Trump now leads Clinton 37-36, with 7% favoring the Libertarian Party, Gary Johnson, and 6% choosing Green Party leader Jill Stein. Guys, it will be Trump or Clinton, but it looks like now they have the momentum going into the Republican convention to get what they want. I don't think they're going to be able to deny what we're about to see happening. But in November and in any other votes that comes up between now and then, vote. But guys, it's a heads up. Keep an eye on this. It's too important. I think it's the most important election in the history of the United States, possibly the world, because of the United States' position on this globe as far as political, economic, military, things like that. So things need to change for real this time, not get worse, not that kind of change that we've seen. It's again, heads up, guys, be safe.